listeners. Welcome to another episode of Romance Unraveled. I am one of your co hosts, Jacob Bozen. This is going to be our first episode with a new co host that we have. Her name is Abigail Stoner. Abby and I actually met in high school, and this will probably trigger a lot of our listeners, but I don't really care. We met at an NRA summit in Washington, D.C. So, for all the gun people out there. But yeah, we have kept in touch ever since high school, and this year we went on a huge trip together. We went to Vietnam, Cambodia, and Thailand. So I'll turn it over to you, Abby, and you can, I guess, introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm Abigail, and yeah, we met at the Youth Education Summit with the NRA. That was interesting. That was an interesting group of people too. But yeah, it was crazy when you put it up on your story of, yeah, I want to go overseas. Does anybody want to come? And you weren't joking. So I'm really glad we reconnected over that. That was a really good trip.
Yeah, definitely. I think we're gonna plan on doing something every year like that. So you'll see more content. I'm sure we'll meet some people in these countries and have more stories to tell.
Hopefully next year will be Egypt. Yeah.
Hopefully, yeah. Okay, so let's have you introduce your friend. I guess maybe soon to be sister-in-law, who knows?
Why are you being so weird, Jacob? So this is Nikki. She is my boyfriend's younger sister. She's got a lot of wild stories from what I've heard, and so I figured she has some things to share with everybody.
Yeah, just a few.
Yeah, so we'll turn it over to you and you can start telling the story.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Me and my ex, we had it was a little complicated. So right now, I'm a second year in college. This is my sophomore year. We met at the very beginning of freshman year, and we started dating pretty quickly. It's literally that horror story that everybody says. They're like, "Oh, don't date like the first guy that you meet within the first 2 weeks. It'll be awful, yada." And I was like, "No, I'm special. It'll be different." It was not different. It was not different. Guys, they're called universal experiences for a reason. But we started dating pretty quickly. The relationship itself wasn't always that great. It actually kept getting a lot worse. And then May 2024, yeah, May, he actually broke up with me and I was heartbroken, stuff like that. We're both from the same like hometown area, but we met in college, out of state college. And so over
So you never met him prior to this point, correct?
no, I did not. Because he went to a different high school. Like he lived like a 20-minute drive away from me, which is crazy to think about, but he was in a completely different school district. He was also a year older. He took a gap year before coming to college. So that's how we ended up in the same grade per se.
Okay.
But over the summer, we met up sometime. Well, we kept talking because it was like, it's too painful not to talk to you, like all angsty like that, which is embarrassing. But
It's not
uh,
embarrassing. I think everybody's done that in the past of, oh no, he'll change and it gets better. Yeah.
but yeah, it doesn't get better. Don't believe them, guys. No, I'm kidding. But we we kept talking because we were like, oh, like I'll miss your friendship and stuff like that. And there were some personal, big, serious things happening that we kind of wanted to keep each other in the loop over. And yeah, we we did decide to kind of meet up and like hook up over the summer. Oh, while we were still exes. But at that time, I had
What made you make that decision? What drew you to that? If he was already an ex for you.
Uh, okay. He was my first boyfriend, like ever. First person I'd done any of that kind of stuff with. And so he was only 20 minutes away too. So it was really
Okay.
just the like I kind of want to situation.
Yeah,
He
maybe
would
a little
make
bit of like a familiar comfort level almost.
Yeah. It was like it was familiar and stuff. I had downloaded Tinder and I had like gone on a date with someone, but it just felt wrong, you know? Because we'd been together for what was that, almost 8 months. And yeah, so that's kind of what made me be like, oh, he made it very clear that he did not want to be in a relationship again, like yada yada yada. He kept saying like all the things that were like, I'm over it, like whatever. And I was like, oh, okay. So I was like, it's well, we can have like just a meet up, be silly kind of thing. And but then I told him I was like, well, if I'm gonna be seeing like a bunch of people or what, not a bunch, but like if I'm gonna be going on dates and like possibly whatever with other people too, I want to be open and honest with you. I did go on a date with someone, like I'm talking to multiple people, whatever. Because I was just trying to be responsible, like I wasn't trying to rub it in his face. But
Because you want to be transparent, but not, yeah, that makes
right,
sense.
yeah. And I was like, you know, if there's like any medical testing you want me to do or whatever, like I'll do it just to make you feel safe, whatever, comfortable. Um, and he told me later on, he was like to sum up a bunch of really long conversations where we were both crying and stuff, he was basically like, that was the worst mistake of my life and I'm still in love with you. And I was like, oh, that's really crazy of you to say after everything. Um, I make him show me that things will be different and that things will change. So the entire summer we're spending together, but we're not officially dating. And then we start dating again like the beginning of August, and it was fine. We even like took a trip together and it was really good. But then I don't know, we went back to school and some old problems kept like it was like he stopped trying, honestly. And for the longest time, we had some like boundary issues. I'll leave it at that to not get too like deep or triggering or whatever. But like boundary issues and that was coming back with like a really, really bad. And I kept telling him, like, no, like, I don't, whatever, please don't. Um, and that just coupled with him not trying anymore, it kind of, it just really accumulated. And then I broke up with him in December.
Was
So
you
just,
surprised when you broke up with him? Or did he like see it coming?
he kind of saw it coming, but he was also like, I just don't understand, like, what's happening, why. And I tried to explain to him, but I don't think he was getting it.
So this is now
But
the second time that you have broken up.
yeah, this is the second time, and honestly, like last time. Never again, guys.
Did you spell it out for him? Like, you're doing X, Y, and Z, and like you're not the right person because so
I
he's not like
really
in the dark about it, or
I really tried, but I don't think he got it. I We also had a really big fight on my birthday where we almost broke up actually. And I was like, I can't keep doing fights like that. Like that was also my birthday. Like, I was like, you don't seem to understand how to show up for me, which is fine, but then maybe we just shouldn't, we're not right for each other if we can't show up for each other in the right way. And I was also like, you keep crossing these boundaries that I'm setting. And it accumulated to one really bad night on the kind of boundary thing. And I was like, I just like I can't like that night it was like something switched off in my brain, honestly. I was like, I can't do this anymore. My body can't take this anymore, things like that. Like I was like, I emotionally can't. And I told him, I was like, I can't stop thinking about that and I can't stop seeing you differently. Like it's all horrible and we just can't be together. But he still was like, I just don't understand, like yada yada yada. And I was like, well, we're
so what
breaking
kept
up.
you from breaking up with him on your birthday? Like that's the final straw birthday gift to yourself. I'm done with you. You know what I mean?
I guess I don't know. We kind of we had a really long conversation. I mean, I was also not fully I wasn't in the right either. I feel like both of us were wrong for what happened. Um, and so we had like a long conversation about like how to better communicate, how to better like show up for each other, and I thought that we could really make it work past that. Um, I also just had like a lot of other things, personal things in my life happening, and I was like, this is like my ship that's sinking the slowest, so let me just stay on this one for a little bit longer, I think.
Do you think moving forward though, you're when your ship starts sinking, you're just gonna walk away versus riding them out till they light on fire.
I I hope so. Um, I really hope so. I think that, there is also like, oh my God, there is a guy later in December, which is a whole separate story, but that too, I was like, I really need to walk away from ships. Like too many lessons, I fear. But yeah, so we broke up. I go and I sleep at my friend's place. This is like my one friend who lives far off of campus. Like all of my friends live on campus or like around here. I go to a really big school, so it's kind of like it's hard to get away. And a lot of there's so many apartments and stuff like people live around here, but I have a friend who lives like you gotta like get in your car, like drive far off campus. And I was like, I can't be on campus. I can't be in my room. Like the vibes are all bad. Because I broke up with my ex in my room too. And I was like, the vibes are all bad. I don't want to be here. And he offered for me to like sleep on his futon in his living room. And I was like, yes, please. So I go over there. I sleep over, whatever. It's normal. I forgot that I was sharing my location with my ex.
Oh goodness. Okay.
Also, some context. My ex worked, I still live in a dorm building because I'm an RA here. My ex, he lives like in an apartment kind of further away, but he worked in my building behind the front desk. And so he had access to the entire building, including my mailboxes and the spare keys to my room. That's important context.
Wow.
I come back that Saturday morning. I see this piece of paper on the floor right outside my door. And I was like, oh, what's this? Pick it up, take a peek. It's a screenshot of my location printed in color with a handwritten note on it. The times the timestamp for the screenshot was 4 in the morning. And I was like, what?
So
What
at
does
this
this man
point,
wake up at
he's
4?
he's up in the morning at 4 a.m. having a meltdown, and he gets the crazies and looks at
Yeah.
the patient and goes to a printer and actually prints the whole thing.
At this point, I hadn't blocked him or anything, too. Like, I obviously he still had my location. He could have texted me the screenshot. He could
Right.
have texted it to me if he. I I called him immediately and I was like, "What is this? What could you possibly have thought?" Like, yada yada yada. I was like, after everything we've been through together, after everything that like I put up with, and like how could you think, first of all, because he assumed that I went and I like was with someone else. Like I was with that friend of mine. And I was like, no, actually, we watched a stupid show. Then I slept on his futon after writing an essay for one of my classes. Like brother, you got the wrong idea here. But in that conversation, I was like, and who was it between the two of us that after we first broke up, hooked up with someone else like a week and a half later? Not me, not me. Uh, and he had the audacity to be like, why is I feel like you're always blaming me, like everything's like why does it always come back like onto me? And I was like, these are the consequences of your actions. What are you talking about? And so I told him not to talk to me. I blocked him. I stopped sharing my location with
Wait,
him.
go back, go back. So not anybody can just walk into these dorms though. Like you have
No,
to live
you
there
have
or
to
be
have
an RA.
access. Yeah, you have to have access to this. So to have access to this building, it's a little weird because this building also has like the dining hall that's for this area. So we have turnstiles, and anybody with like, if you live here or if you have like a meal plan, you can scan into the building and go to the dining hall. And then the actual residential areas are behind another like scanners. You have to like take your student ID and
And is it
scan.
like an all-girls dorm or is it a co-ed dorm?
No, it's a co-ed dorm.
Okay. But he doesn't have access though, right?
He worked behind the front desk, so he had access to the building. And he came here on a night that he wasn't working to print out, I'm pretty sure he printed that thing out here in color and scan up to my room to leave that. He said he put it under my door, but it must have flown out because I found it in the hallway. Any one of my residents could have seen that. And they would have just had like random information about me, like my personal phone number, my friend's address, like they would have seen that note. I told him that too. I was like, my residents could have seen this. Like, this is not. He had access to my mailboxes. Like, he could have put them in my mailboxes too. And the scary thing was that he had access to the spare keys to my room too.
Wow. So, did you ever think at any point to report him for abusing his job?
Yes, I did like immediately. Unfortunately, it was a weekend, so I I had a meeting with one of my supervisors here and his supervisor that following Monday. And I was like, guys, like he did this. Yeah, like I don't feel safe. This is an abuse of power. Like, what can we do? Technically, since he didn't check out like my keys or anything, he couldn't be fired, but they hid my keys in like a special lockbox that only them and I would have access to, that made me feel a lot better. Um, but they did eventually have like a really strong conversation with him and we're like, so she's feeling genuinely scared. Um, and we encourage you to really think about if you still want to work here. And thankfully he made the choice to not work here anymore, so he doesn't have access to my building. But that was a scary couple of weeks while we were figuring that out. But yeah, that that happened. And he was telling some of his coworkers who I know, like I'm kind of friends with, about like wanting to have a conversation with me at post me telling him to not talk to me, don't reach out to me because of the note that he left at my door. After that, he apparently was like, I still want to talk to her, figure things out, whatever. And so this friend of mine, she came up here to talk to me and she told me like, "Oh, he said that he's going to try to talk to you, whatever." And I was like, "There's literally no way that he has the audacity to be like, let me figure things out and try to fix things with her after I was like crazy." And I had to literally reach out to my school's like Title IX office to formally send him a letter telling him to not reach out to me or like not talk to me.
And you went through that whole process and it was actually sent to him.
Yes, it was sent to him. So we haven't spoken since that, but that was just it was so much, genuinely.
Have any of your friends or family members, even who knew him, potentially, did they ever speak to him after this point?
Um, after after I talked to the Title IX office, I don't believe so. We did have a lot of mutual friends. When I kind of explained the situation, a lot of them, basically all of them that I talked to were like, "Oh, so I'm not going to be friends with someone that insane." And that wasn't my intention. Like, I don't want him to not have friends. In fact, I want him to have a job, to be making money, to have friends, to have a good time. I hope for the best for him and his family. Like, I hope his semester is going well, but I hope he's doing great and that we never talk about it. You know what I mean? But from what I know, none of my friends have spoken to him really since everything went down, like probably since December. And the only person in my family who really knew him was my older brother, and they don't talk. So.
I
So
mean, you
did your
hope
friends
not.
see all the red flags before you did, or were they trying to tell you to like leave earlier, or
After we first broke up, quite a few of my friends were like, don't get back together with him. Like it's a, you know, don't get back with your ex kind of thing. And I was like, yeah, guys, I have bad news for you. And I was like, no, but it's different. It was not different. Some of my friends, after I broke up with him in December, some friends that I met like this past school year were like, "Oh, girl, like we never liked him." And I was like, I was like, gagged. What do you mean, guys? And no one told me. They were like, "Yeah," and they just kind of they listed off that they thought he was kind of like weird sometimes, and that like he just never made an effort to like talk to them or anything, and it just was bad vibes basically. I don't know. I never personally really saw that, but again, I was, you know, and even in like our first go around of being in a relationship, he was very emotionally unavailable. I literally remember like I had to about 5 months in, I had to genuinely like sit and cry in his arms and like beg him to show me like love. Oh my God, so embarrassing. Don't ever do that for a man. Don't ever, ever. Like that is the biggest sign. Like I should have left. Like every day in freshman year, I would kind of go through like monthly, there was a cycle of I need to break up with him. Oh, it's getting better, it's fine. I need to break up with him. Oh, it's getting better, it's fine. Don't put yourself through that. Like genuinely, if anybody's listening to this and they need like they're in a similar situation, they're like, "Oh, it'll get better." No. No. Be better for yourself. Leave that other person behind. Because there was this one time too that I was in freshman year. I had just gotten out of the shower. My roommate was walking past and she saw me and she's like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "No." And we went into our room and I broke down like sobbing on the floor and I was like, he doesn't love me. Like this is horrible. Like I feel so misunderstood. Like I feel so like empty and lonely in our relationship. Like he doesn't love me. He doesn't show that to me. And she was just like hugging me and being like Nikki, like no one deserves to make you feel like this. And I was like, damn, you kind of got a point, girl. And then I stayed with him for another like 4 months. I was like, what am I doing actually?
I
Um,
think everybody's kind of done that. It's like your whole you do it once and then you never do that one again.
Or you
You get a
do.
little what? No, Jacob.
I don't know. I feel like a lot of people, they they say that they won't do these things anymore, but then they keep doing them. I guess I'm guilty of that sometimes. And I don't know. I feel like a lot of people, they honestly like people who are mean to them. That's just my opinion.
But I
no,
think do you feel like you deserve it, Jacob, though, or Nikki? That you deserve people to like be mean to you, you know?
I, oh, that's a loaded question. I was in therapy again, guys.
I
I
would
don't know. Oh, sorry, go on.
I would say absolutely not. Like, you don't deserve that. But there's almost this reward, like the idea of a reward at the end of the day,
Yeah,
where if they're being mean to you or they're not treating you well, you feel rewarded when they do, or they
yeah,
show you little aspects of actually being nice to you. It feels like a reward in a way.
for sure. Yeah, every single time that, because my ex was really good at doing like big gestures to show like love or whatever.
We've all
Um,
dated one of those, yeah.
but he wasn't good at like the everyday small, consistent efforts kind of thing. But the big, showy things that he did, it made me be like, oh, like he
Maybe
put in
it's
all this
different.
effort. Yeah, like it's he put in all this effort. It's good. It's he wouldn't do this unless he was, and I know that well, I don't know about now, but I know that, at a time he did really love me. Um, I just don't think that we were at the end of the day like good for each other. In the long run. No, yeah. The like hurting thing, I grew up in a very like my household was not kind to me. And I think that really shaped how I look at relationships and my relationship with receiving love in general. And it's not a very good relationship, but we be in therapy now. It's okay. We're working on it.
If you don't mind me adding this in here, because I know your parents are arranged marriage, do you think that like changes how you view marriage too, and relationships in general, because it's just different than everybody else?
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting for me because it's like I understand, obviously the culture and whatever, but I spent pretty much my entire life in America. I think it definitely did shape how I view marriage, just because also, not to get too real on here, but theirs isn't awesome. It's really bad actually. So I don't think I can marry someone unless I know that we are like 100% like devoted to each other in love. Like being in love, like being the right person for each other is really, really important to me. And I know personally, I do not want an arranged marriage, anything like that. It's just an absolute no for me. Like I need to be irrevocably in love with whoever I decide to spend the rest of my life with, because that's what, at the end of the day, like people who are seeking like a true marriage want is somebody to spend the literal rest of their life with.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's good advice.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, is there anything else to the story that you would like to add?
I don't think so. Not for this particular ex. I did see him actually on campus. I was checking in on a friend of mine who lives in the same apartment as him. And I saw him and I had such a visceral bodily reaction. Like I started shaking and things, and I was like, oh my God, this is a lot worse than I thought it was. But hopefully, I don't really see him around. Unfortunately, some of my friends do have classes with him, and they were like, Nikita, like, I saw him, and I was like, oh my God, guys, I'm being haunted. But
Yeah, I don't know why they would tell you that they saw him.
well, it was like, I don't know. It was kind of funny, but I was like, oh my God.
Well, awesome. Well, it was a super interesting story. I mean, there's more stalkers out there, I guess, than we realize.
Yeah.
Um, for our listeners, as always, save and subscribe. We're streaming everywhere you can get your podcasts. And then you can follow us on social media. We're on Instagram and Facebook at Romance Unraveled. Until next time.